Miniature Realms is proudly sponsored by Incom Gaming, Cheltenham's premier friendly local game store. Check the link in the description. Hello, welcome to Hobby Hour episode 15 with myself, Stuart, my good friend Dan, and special guest today, Martin from the Seventh Son YouTube channel. Hi guys, how you doing? How's things? We're going to pretend that we haven't already said this and the computer didn't crash. How are things, boys? You all right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one's got any energy for it the second time round.
Well,
It's always the
I
same.
don't know this since last time.
I've got a beer now, so
my cup of tea's run out because I've just been fighting with my computer for the last couple of minutes. But anyway, we'll sweep that aside. Okay, so today's show, we do the usual news roundup, which isn't really news. We're going to chat about our hobby, including Martin, and then we're going to talk about Martin for the second half of the show. So those of you who don't know, Martin is a YouTuber, an event runner, a miniatures company manufacturer, and many other things as well. So
too many things. Too
many things, and that's just not his day job. His day job's he's even more complicated. But but anyway, let's crack on with a bit of news, not news really. So the first thing I've got on my list, Dan, is the Middle Earth FAQ, and just like we said last time we spoke about this, I've not read it. I feel like yeah, there was one. I feel like I should have read it, but it's aimed at the competitive market at the moment, I think, but with no new releases being out in the last year or so, there's nothing new to do an FAQ on. So it's kind of things that are driven by what's going on in tournament play at the moment, and that's fine, that's cool. But I'm not playing tournaments at the moment, so I haven't read it, and I'll catch up with it as and when I need to, really. So sorry for you out of the frying pan people who watch this that would like to see us do a bit of a rundown like we might have done in the past.
We don't even talk about it when we read it. Come on.
We did. I think we did for one of them. We did it properly once, didn't we? And then the second time we're like,
it's a thing. It does a thing. Yeah. I can't tell the difference between this and what it was before. Okay. That's pretty much how it usually goes. I don't think anyone comes to us to for that insightful level of
any kind of level of insight, really.
Yeah. No, it's not. Just random garbage for 2 hours on an hour show.
Yeah, an hour show. Well, we might make this shorter than normal just because we've already wasted an hour today messing around. But
I wonder if we finally get someone interesting on and then we cut them short. That's how this works.
That's going to be the way it is. That's going to be the way. We'll finish rabbiting on. Well, I will finish rabbiting on, and I'll be like, sorry, Mark, we've only got 5 minutes left. But next new, with that in mind, then moving on. Next bit of news is the new Legions Imperialis book and some extra miniatures and things launched at the weekend while I was away. I realised that a lot of it was probably going to sell out quite quickly. And it was gone by the time I had internet to try and buy any of it. So I will pick up the book at some point in the future. Quite like the look of some of the new tanks and things. It looks good, but it just looks good in pictures at the moment until they can get their supply issues sorted at some point. Well, we've talked about that at length in previous shows. I don't think we can add anything new to it, but all I can say to people out there is hit the email me button, because it works. I've got some Tomb Guard up there that I purchased exactly that way. They were sold out on launch day. I didn't get there quick enough for them. He emailed me, and they came back in. They've come back in twice now, I think, along with lots of other things. So stuff is coming back in. It's not like it's going out of stock for 3 months or something like that. But you have to jump on it when it comes back in at the moment. But have you got any thoughts on that, Dan, other than me rabbiting on?
Well, it's either production or forecasting. You decide. Also in GW News, Siegebreaker. That's going on. We are on the 20th of February. Previous Sunday, 2 days ago, they said that's going to come out. So I'll be trying to pre-order that on Saturday for reasons unknown. All be revealed. I've got to go toddle off to another continent, indeed, soon for a couple of weeks. So I'm not going to do anything ahead of that. You may notice this becomes a theme later when we talk about my hobby. So yeah, that's quite interesting. The model's really pretty. They've done a lot of stuff recently with the GC Occult dude with his decks that it's actually Lenten. that overview map is actually Warhammer
Oh
World,
yes, I've heard that
which is
before.
very cool.
Is it really?
It's
It's genuinely, yeah, it's actually Warhammer World. So they've got this. The guy, the Siege Breaker's got this cool. I might even find a picture, which Stu might be able to put up. But yeah, he's got this Space Marine coming out of it and a really cool articulated arm and stuff. So it's quite a nice model. I'd like to paint it. So I'm
does
gonna.
look cool. Does look cool, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. If I can get one, of course, because it might sell out at 5 minutes
Mm.
too. Who knows?
Is it plastic?
Resin.
Resin. That might go quick.
Yeah, it might do. Might not. Depends. People might get put off by the fact it's resin. I don't know why, but to each their own and all that. And then both you two have been quite excited about plastic tanks.
Well, I am, I
campaigns are.
suppose. I'm not so sure
Yeah.
Martin is.
I'm looking forward to it, but there's a lot of plastic tanks. There's lots of them. There's the Battlefront one, which
Yeah.
what's it called? Clash of Steel. I want to say Clash of Steel.
Yes.
But then there's Acton Panzer by Warlord. So that's up for pre-order.
It went out for the weekend, yes, didn't it? It was
Yeah.
this weekend, wasn't it? Yeah.
Even I looked at that one. It's quite
Yeah, well,
interesting. Although I have
I
enough
knew
Nazis.
I
You sent me
knew
home with
that I
Nazis
was
last
going to
time.
be sent something. I think I could say that on yours. Going to be sent something a few days beforehand at a call with someone at Warlord about it, and I don't really know anything, to be fair, anything much more than that you can getting from reading the article and seeing what's on offer.
There's tanks. They're going to hunt each other underboard, blow each other up, and what more do you want?
It looks interesting. I love painting tanks. So I really enjoy painting tanks. I can do it quite quickly and you get quite a good finish. It's just all around quite pleasing for me. I quite enjoy painting tanks. So it's, as skirmish games go, I could probably paint 5 tanks quicker than I could 10 infantry or something like that. So in that sense, I think it's good. I know there's technically infantry as well because there's crew. But again, the game seems quite interesting that your crew can get them out and do things. That it's a little bit more
they can
complicated.
Get out and
like
repair the tracks and things like that. Because everyone's been pouring over the castle. I think they can get out and do things, and I think they're vulnerable when they're outside of the tank.
Yes.
So if something happens to them, then the tank operates like less efficiently and things like that. So I think it just looks quite like maybe some good arcadey fun. But I think there's a campaign in there as well. I think they've mentioned about game to game progression for your tank crews as well.
I think it just sounds fun, doesn't it? To be honest with you, it's going to be quite ahistorical because I can't imagine that the tanks you're getting in those boxes would be fielded together very, very often. So you've got to go into film mode, haven't you? You've got to go into kind of Hollywood film mode with it and just have some fun, which I don't think is always a bad thing to do with historical wargaming, because it can be a little bit dry and serious sometimes. But actually, to turn it into a game takes some people, or as we knew from a YouTuber earlier in the year, some people find it a little bit problematic sometimes. So to make it a bit more movie-like sometimes maybe is a way for it. But it looks really interesting. I'm looking forward to painting some tanks and giving it a go. But it does look good. It does definitely look good. But that's it for news. I mean, have either of you got anything that you've seen that you'd like to shout out or talk about that you've seen in the news? Martin, if you really want a good news section on the Plastic Crack podcast that Martin is a co-host of, they do news properly, so they actually go out, search for stuff and kind of do a good rundown of what's happened in the last week with the news, whereas I just kind of go, oh, that interested me, and ignore all the stuff that
it's all those things you see on Facebook that you scroll through when you're sitting waiting for the kettle to boil, or you got some time to yourself, that you just click download, and then you forget about it till Monday night, and then just upload it before the stream, and then forget what is that. You just put this picture up and go, oh god, what was this?
What was that?
Now when you what was that? I can't remember. And you're quickly Googling to find out.
Yeah, I mean, I get all the emails. I'm on all the mailing lists, so I know what Perry's have released. I know what Victrix have released. You get the emails all week, but I don't compile, because Dan and I record irregularly as well. So sometimes it's once a month, sometimes it's twice. Whereas you guys weekly, you can kind of do a nice little rundown. But we never intend to make it. If we ever become regular or something, then maybe we'll look to do that in the future. But you guys do a good job of it. But anyway, let's go over to you, Martin. What have you been up to hobby-wise?
It's been busy. It's been very busy. The last week hasn't been particularly busy or productive. It all kind of went downhill and wrong. But over the last, well, since just before Christmas, I've been working on the Warlord Games Gallic Wars starter set, which I'm working on with Warlord, which they kindly sent over for me to unbox, build, review, and then I'm going to be doing battle reports, so starter battle reports, and then building up those armies, showing how you can expand them. So I've done what, about 150 ghouls now, probably about 60 70 Romans. There's a lot more ghouls than there are Romans, but I've also added in some of their, because they make quite nice sort of vignette sets, so you can add in shield breakers. So some lunatic that's naked and jumping out of the line to probably get killed, but it looks fun. So I've added those in, and so I've done quite a lot of project updates on those. And I've just finished the painting of all the starter sets. So I've just finished Caesar himself and all of the Romans, and I even added in the two guys, Pullo and Varinus from the Rome TV show. If people have seen that, you can get their models. So I've got them in a unit. So now I know who the veteran unit is. So that's how they're gonna sort of mark those. So I've done those, and so yeah, I decided to I painted all of that, and after painting a lot of sort of woad and tattoos and Celts, I decided to go and paint some Space Marines.
Yeah.
See, because I was like, we'll do something different. So I've actually, my friend bought me some for Christmas, actually, some Mark III Marines. So I've built those as World Eaters that I've supplemented with some 3D files that are paid for and designed. They're not rip-offs. So I've supplemented those with some sort of groovy looking heads and lots of chain axes. Because sort of a personal goal for me this year is to really try and up my painting. I love painting. I enjoy painting, and all of my historical projects that I've been working on are quite big, and they're done now. So I'm kind of focusing on things a little bit smaller. He says after painting up a load of Romans, I've got a whole load more to do. But for example, I'm working on at the moment Test of Honor as well. So Samurai, you can kind of go to town on Samurai, and I love doing things at 28 mil. I do some small scale stuff, but I like detailed miniatures and painting and bringing that out. So the decision to do 30k, do Horus Heresy, I was sitting there going, well, shall I do Legions Imperialis? So I like painting and doing all the details, and I know you can get a really good look at them, but to me, I'd rather have, for me personally, one Space Marine on a base that you've got lots of details on, and you can see all, like, you know, I've called it the strung out dad look, actually, for the World Eaters. This the really sort of manic expression on his face, rather than some little guys. I think the overall look of Epic looks ace. I love it. But I enjoy painting single figures a lot more. So I've been working on those, and I'm doing Dark Angels as well, just because why not? I thought they would be fun. And then
Black and white.
Yeah.
Why not?
There we go. Yeah. Well, I didn't know about this Zone Mortalis thing. I didn't know about it until about a couple of months ago. So again, small scale games in sort of quite cramped conditions where a flamer will actually sort of go down the corridor, and blast templates are a bit more deadly. And I really like the sound of it, and it fiddles with the makeup of your army. So elites are a bit more common, shall we say? So you can have a viable force with about 20 models, which to me is normally one unit. So
it also tones down the reactions, which is really good for when you're playing, because particularly as the games grow, reactions can be very overbearing on the game. For Age of Darkness, Horus Heresy 2. So actually the boarding actions rule set, the Zone Mortalis, is actually a little less overbearing for that. So as a beginner, it's actually probably a better place to start. And I have that on good authority from someone who wrote it. So
I'll take good note. And I love narrative gaming. So and that look to me is much more appealing. And having a small force, narrative based scenarios, I think is ace. But no, on top of that, I've been painting up some Middle Earth stuff, which obviously you probably appreciate. I just happened to find some sprues of Rohan and Mordor orcs kicking about,
because so everyone has those somewhere.
They're just everywhere. They're just kicking around. So
even if you never bought any, you've probably got some.
But yeah, they're just there. They just permeate. I moved house. I don't even remember getting them. I can't even work out where the Mordor orcs came from, because I got the Pelennor Fields starter and they're Moranian orcs. So I can't even work out where I got these. So I think I might have had them since 2015 3 or whatever it was that sprue was released. I can't work out
Yeah,
what it
it's
came
been a
from.
while.
So so I painted those up, and yeah, I guess that's probably, looking around because everything's around me. That's probably, I'm trying to work on some scenery and stuff as well. But I treated myself to quite a large box of fantasy stuff the other day. Don't know if you saw this. I picked that up, which
Yes.
is the Conquest, the Parabellum, First Blood, Last Argument of Kings box. I've gone halves with that with my friend Robin. Excuse me. And that's the orcs and undead starter. So I'm taking the undead Romans because they look ace, but the miniatures are 38 mil as a sort of a standard miniature, and they just look so cool. So again, with the painting and that, I really just want to kind of push that at the minute. So,
sounds perfect for it as well. I'll be interested. Is that, so I'm guessing if you end up playing Robin, that's something that might appear on your channel.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, with the channel, I want to obviously 99% of the stuff, the battle reports on there certainly are historical. There's a couple of Lord of the Rings things on there and some Rangers of Shadow Deep. But yeah, it's definitely something I would think about, because it's not exclusively historicals that I want to do. But yeah, there's also a nice little sort of starter camp free battle linked scenario thing, learn to play thing in there. So I thought it could be quite fun coming, because I have no idea about it. I watched a couple of battle reports online on tabletop and can't remember, is it let's play, and it just looked like great fun. The activation system is really unique and interesting, and they have an online army builder that works. So I was really that impressed. That impressed me for years of just wishing someone would make one where when you select an option, it actually sort of then changes the statistics of whatever model you've given it to. And it did. So I was sort of sold on
Excellent.
that. So yeah, that's sort of where I am at the moment. Just
I'll look out for some content on that one. That's something I'm aware of the game, but I've not really looked into it at all. It's a game that always gets mentioned in groups when people are hating on a certain Games Workshop game, and they're just like, don't play it, play this instead. And you're just like, okay, fair enough.
I'm more of the opinion of why not just play both and all of them? And
it looks good though. It looks interesting. So I will definitely look forward to your thoughts on it and your games, because I know they'll be sensible. But it sounds like a really good mix of stuff anyway, and I've got a list of some of your products that you've been working on your channel, which will no doubt return to later on in the video as well. So what about yourself, Dan? What have you been up to?
Cheers. How am I supposed to follow that?
Can I show the picture of the cake?
Miniatures.
Can I show the picture of the cake?
No, you're not showing the picture of the bloody cake.
Before the show, Dan Uber Eats, or was it Just Eats?
It was Just Eats.
Slice of cake.
The size of my head is huge.
This is what men that aren't married with kids do when they're waiting to start a YouTube.
Yeah, this is pretty much. I've been hankering after carrot cake for about 2 weeks, and I was just like, no, I'm going to do it. Well, because I can't be bothered to drive to Leicester for Costco, so it's because they do the best carrot cake, but I want to try a local place. It's very delicious. Stu's probably shown the cake to show me up. It was delicious. I only managed half the slice. So now I've got that's tomorrow's treat. While I'm making breakfast from home. No. There's too much sugar for the morning. There's no way going around it. I've not really done an awful lot. I got hold of this finally. I've got my rule book.
Fantastic.
Which is cool. And one of these, because Stu wants one, so I'm going to send him that, because I'm not going to need that. I'm going to scan it first. Note Games Workshop. Why not include that as a PDF download?
It would be nice. Apparently, it's the same as the one that's in the pages of the book anyway, and I think it does say permission to photocopy.
You can photocopy. That's it for personal use. Yeah, just put a PDF up on the website. Put it on Warcom. Everyone will be happy. Because it saves potentially bending the spine of your book.
Is that the quick reference sheet?
Yeah. It comes if you buy the rule book on its own, you don't get it. But if it comes from one of the box sets, because I had a mate who had the box set, this is in the shrink wrap in the back of the book.
Yeah, if you bought one that someone split from a box, you'll get it because it's changed. So there's one in the rules itself.
I was just because in the Horus Heresy they actually just
You
pop
get it in it.
you get it in it. Why
So
not?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. All right.
Yeah, my Age of Darkness
different
came with
team, I
one as well.
suppose, isn't it?
Oh well.
Different
Yeah.
teams, different choices, I suppose. But
Yeah.
That Rob
never
Alderman
mind.
wanting to keep all of the quick play guides to himself. So he's rolling around in it like Scrooge McDuck. All the play guides, he's stolen them all.
We accused him last show of rolling around with all the artillery dice. So it's the artillery dice and the quick play sheets now.
Yeah, that's what it is. He's just hoarding all the good stuff. That's the only reason he even took the job is because so he could get all the stuff he couldn't have when he was younger. That's what it is. So yeah, I've not really done a huge amount in terms of hobby. But as I said, I'm off on my travels with work very shortly, so that's kind of put a bit of a stop on a lot of stuff. I've decided on High Elves. God knows when they're going to be for Old World. It's kind of taking the wind out of my sails painting Undead at the moment. I haven't really been bothered, even though I went to all that effort to get a new painting lamp and then I've not used it. I have watched a bit of hobby stuff. I've been catching up with some stuff that Richard Gray's been putting out. Some of the Legion Imperial Allies stuff that he's just put out. Some True Metal Metallic stuff, which may or may not come in handy later. But mostly I've been doing like nerdy stuff, but non-wargaming related nerdy stuff. Because I can generally either hobby or I can video game. I generally can't do both. I've been doing some video gaming. Trapang 2, been playing that. Or finished that, and Assassin's Creed Mirage. So I've been playing both of those. Which Assassin's Creed Mirage was brilliant, really, really good, considering how absolutely pump Assassin's Creed's been for about the last 7 or 8 years. It's been really good to watch them return to form. So anyone who's used to enjoy the original Assassin's Creed, it's great.
The last one I played was the first pirate one,
Black Flag,
yeah,
which was probably the last good one.
I like
it's
that
the last good one in my opinion, because they rebooted it, so they did Origins, but it turned into an RPG, and that's not what Assassin's Creed. Like, if you assassinate someone, they should die because you've put a foot of steel through their throat. Not get back up again and then hit you. No. I like it because it basically plays like the first game, the original one, which was 2007, I want to say, the original one. There's even a filter you can put over it, like a visual filter over this one, so it mimics the color palette of the original one, because it's not too, because it's set in Baghdad.
People pressing the "Make my graphics bad" button. Is that
no. It just changes the color palette, so it takes on a really sort of a grey brown tone to it rather than the sandy yellows. Because it's set in Baghdad. I can't remember exactly what year, and someone will get really upset if I do try and guess it. But old. Like 9th century, 10th century, something like that.
Yeah.
So it's similar time period, like within a couple hundred years of the very first Assassin's Creed.
Right.
So it plays very much like the original one. It's really good. So it's just also nice that they didn't just reboot it. They've actually done something new, but sort of given it a touch of the old flavor if you really enjoyed the first ones, without just rebooting. So that's great. So I've done that, and I've been watching the new True Detective Night Country with
do you even know that was
that it's Jodie Foster?
Jodie Foster, and she's so good in it. It's brilliant.
I've heard good things. I've heard good things, but I'm waiting.
It's excellent. It's just finished, literally. Like, I think the last episode was in the last couple of days. It's fantastic. Well worth a watch. And then I've been rereading some books. Angel Exterminatus, the Heresy book with the Iron Warriors in it.
Yep.
So dropping a lot of breadcrumbs here. And aside from that, I've actually been going outside, which is quite nice. Fresh air and all that. Heaven forbid.
What?
Yeah, I know. And so I've been trying to go outside and do more stuff. It's good for the soul and all that. So not at the best time of year. A lot of people probably watching will suffer from SAD, and I'm not saying that I do. I'm quite lucky that I don't, but it is a time of year that can be a bit bleak and miserable. So sometimes it is when it's a bit sunny, go out, enjoy some sunshine, speak to people, not necessarily at them, out on the bus or anything, but you can go outside.
People speak to people don't just start speaking to people.
Yeah, exactly. Or like shouting at traffic or anything. So yeah, that's been it really. It's work, going outside and doing other kinds of nerdy stuff, but I haven't actually picked up a paintbrush in a little while, so I'm gonna again be in the situation I'm rusty again when I come back to it. But I'm kind of feeling it again, so I don't want to start anything now because in a week or two's time I'm disappearing for a bit. But once I'm back, I'm quite looking forward to it. I've got a nice stack of stuff built up, ready to hit when I come back. I did have recommended to me to take it away with me to de-sprue in a hotel. I'm like, I'm not having that discussion in like customs. What's this? Not happening.
Yeah.
Not doing it. Especially given I've got a number of transfers to go through as well. That's just no. Don't want to. My entire army ends up in a bin in the Dubai airport because they didn't like the look of it. So no.
Yeah,
will not be doing that.
I think a lot of people travel with stuff. I think you'd probably be right, but yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, I've got work to do, so I probably won't have any time to do it anyway. So it's just going to be a complete pain in the bum taking it and then bringing it back again anyway.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, go on then. So I can be the like rather disappointing meat in the middle of this hobby sandwich. So what have you been up to? Let's do.
Oh, then you are the hobby if you're the filling in this
No,
sandwich.
I'm the anti hobby. I am the real sort of disappointing like slice that doesn't have any filling in it.
So the
What have you
moldy
been up
bit
to,
of
Steve?
lettuce in a service station sandwich. Lots of little bits and bobs, really. I've been start with what I've been listening to. So I've been working my way through the end times stories that I'd never listened to at the time. But because of all the old world stuff, I've been listening to them as I work, and I struggle with the high elf one a little bit. I love Gav Thorpe's kind of knowledge of the topic, and it's really, really detailed, but I do struggle sometimes to get into the characters the way
He doesn't
writes
always
them.
write elves very well. I
No,
noticed that in the War of the
he
Beard
knows
book
it
and
so
stuff that he
well.
wrote.
It's so
The
well
elves
done.
are,
For me, it
he
sounds
did,
more like the history, like when you read the lore in a book. His novels read a bit like that at times. You just
Shadow King was good though. He wrote that.
I've not. I need to give it a go. But I struggle with that one. But I'm in the middle of Rise of the Horn Rat, which is Guy Haley's. It's all Skaven and dwarves, and it's good. Skaven always hilarious, so I'm quite enjoying that one. I'm also reading or nearly finished Plague Demon by Brian Craig, which is my book club novel.
It's an old book.
Yeah, I won't go into too much because that will spoil the whole point of the book club discussion on Jordan's channel, which I'll be recording this Thursday. It's Tuesday now, so I won't go into any details. If you want to find out what I think about that, go and watch that on Jordan's YouTube channel. But I've been reading that, and then I've been doing little bits and bobs. I've just finished painting some ABC Warriors that Warlord sent me, so I did the Hammersteins. That video's got up today.
Cool. Yeah,
no one will watch it because no one watches anything to do with 2000 AD that I do, but they were good fun anyway. It's a fairly quick tutorial. It's only a 15-minute video, and it's a very quick and easy tutorial, but they were good fun to do. I've been working lots of terrain. That was my video before that, so I've been sort of tightening up some old terrain and making it kind of slightly old school themed, Warhammer-ish, because I got so much historical stuff and I got so much for other bits and bobs, but I wanted something that looked like the pages of a rule book.
That polystyrene near the GW hill.
The
Do you want another
Citadel,
one?
Yeah, if you've got one.
Because I've got one for some reason. I don't know where it came from.
I think everyone had one at a certain point. Those old Citadel scenery ones from the 1998, I think. Can you remember them, Martin?
I vividly,
They did like the Dwarven Forge and stuff as well. It's basically grey polystyrene with some flock on there as well. But you can tart them up quite nicely, and the hills are good. So yeah, I've been sort of just tarting up some of that stuff, and that video's done quite well actually. So it's done what I wanted it to. And then I've been just chipping away at my hobby pledge for the monthly hobby pledge, which is, you might not be aware of this, Martin. So I launched something on my Discord channel Discord, or monthly hobby pledge, and people just pledge what they're going to do for the month hobby wise.
I really hope I'm such a bad co-host. I've not done anything. I feel awful.
and then at the end of it, you show what you've done, and so you're only competing against yourself. So you could set yourself one miniature if you wanted, just to try and do a little goal. And then if they're patrons, for each month that they complete their goal, they earn a dice. And at the end of the year, when I send out the patron dice, they'll get X amount of dice for that year, extra of a special color. So it's more about it being a bit of fun for anyone can do it. So even if anyone who's in the Discord can do it, but if you want to earn dice, actual dice, then you have to join the Patreon for that. But that could be a $1 a month kind of thing. But it's good fun. It's partly for me as well because I need it. because I just make quite often I'll get to the end of the month and all I've done is the stuff I've done for videos, for content. That's all I've done. I'm literally just producing content, which is fine, but I need to paint armies as well. So it gives me a little bit of a guilt thing.
It's kind of why I'm painting these World Eaters and Marines up. It's just something for me. And over on the PCP, we have the online painting challenge that's run by a couple of guys in the group. And their one for this year is it's an army in a year. So February's challenge is a core unit. March is a special character. A bit like Tale of Four Gamers kind of thing.
Yes.
You know, but there's no pride. It's just everyone's posting it. Apart from, of course, Dom, who I run it with, who's painted essentially a whole army in a month. And, you know, is moving on to his next one. So, you know.
In a space about that big, how does he paint so much, like literally on his lap?
I don't know. It's a point of frustration in our little chat group, and before we go live and we have a chat like you guys are here today, and it's like, what photos have you put up to share? So we've got like a couple, and then Dom's has got a litany of photos of, you know, the guy. I don't know how he does it, but it is amazing, and it looks cool. But yeah, he's already done because he's doing Conflict 47.
Yeah.
So
that stuff's cool.
Well, we went to Warlord on for our other co-host. We were on Stag Do, and we ended up in Warlord, and we basically we were playing Conflict 47, and we loved it. So yeah, just World War II with mechs, and he's gone out and done that. So he's already painted half his army in a couple of weeks. So
it's good stuff. I remember I know the guys that started it. So Russ Charles and Chris Hale. So when, many years ago, I was living in Cheltenham and Russ lived around the corner. We played War Machine together. And Russ was a teacher at the time, and he started doing a bit of ZBrush work again. He used to do art and things, and he started producing these miniatures, and they were all 15 mil to start with, and they were working on their own rules. And then over the years, that obviously expanded into a supplement for bolt action. Russ they've gone on to do different things now. Russ did lots of freelance sculpting, did some for Privateer Press. I think he did stuff for Malifaux, I'm not 100% sure. Did all of the Guild Ball stuff.
Okay, yeah.
And he works for Steamforge now. I think he told me the other day what his job title is, but I think he's something like creative director at Steamforge or something like that now. So he's gone from teacher to do that. But essentially that game started with those guys in his spare room. I remember the original little sculpts and the original 3D prints they got back to make the master casts out. And I think it's very, very cool to see how well it's done, and I think it's in good hands now with what Warlord can do with it. They can kind of push it on and give it a market that's more than maybe they could have done in their own little industry at home, sort of thing.
Warlord have said there's stuff coming. There's I don't know if they're planning a sort of a soft relaunch or what, but they have said that there are things on the horizon. I did wonder if maybe they would do an Acton Panzer supplement so you could have the weird World War tank combat. I mean, it'd be very easy. I'm sure it'd be easy enough to do.
Yeah, why it's almost why wouldn't you, isn't it? And you get your walkers and things in there as well, because they look they're awesome.
Do you know what? I'd be really tempted at that point. I think I'd get into it if it had walkers and stuff in it as well.
Yeah. That weird.
I'm sure, and even if they don't, a community-led stuff, so many things would jump on it. I'm sure.
That's a really if they hadn't thought of it, they definitely should.
It's time to send an email. Yeah.
Well, sometimes it's just if you want to do it, write it kind of thing, isn't it? But which is I've been trying to get them to do a Napoleonic skirmish version using the bolt action mechanics for ages. I think that would just be really good fun, but real low figure count, we're talking 10 15 max, not your sharp practice kind of numbers which can creep up a little bit, sort of that proper skirmish,
but an actual episode of sharp is in the sharp
exactly,
just
maybe
six
all you're doing is storming a barn. That's that kind of stuff, because that's the kind of game that's why I picked up Silver Bayonet, with an idea of not using it just for Silver Bayonet, but just using the basic mechanics just to play some movie type themed Napoleonic skirmish.
See, I'm very tempted to pick up Silver Bayonet, but I want to roll it back and set it in the sort of the English Civil War period and do Witchfinder General, that kind of period. Because Dan, you're not too far from me, are you? So Matthew Hopkins and this whole area.
I've got him tattooed on my leg.
There you go.
Believe it or not, with some
Well, I
Burnley
didn't expect
witches.
that to go. The conversation to end up there.
Yeah. Yes, I have Matthew Hopkins. I've got the classic Hammer horror version, obviously,
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
as you would from Witchfinder General.
Fantastic.
But yeah, I mean, to be actually, I was really hoping I was going to win that in the raffle at CrackCon, because they would get that big wedge of silver bayonet stuff, and I was like, come on, come on,
everything.
I didn't get it.
That was an amazing prize. It was
Yeah,
three
it
of
was
the
awesome.
war brands, two of the
All
main
books.
books, one of the expansions. Yeah, that was a cracking prize.
Hopefully, Osprey, when the new supplements come out, because there's 2 more on the way, they'll I'm on the mailing list, so I should hopefully be able to get hold of those for review when they come out. Awesome. But yeah, so what I was talking about what I was doing, we were on a good tangent then, yeah, the hobby pledge, working on my hobby pledge. I've not really done any painting for my hobby pledge, so I'm going to have a lot to do in the final week, but I kind of refigured my army lists and my units a little bit. So I needed to do that before I could paint them, obviously. But we'll come back to that later. I was away as well. So I was away last week with a family for most of the week. I was across in Suffolk and Lowestoft. So I drove past you, Martin. I think we stopped at Milton Park in Cambridge to have a little walk around and run the dog.
Right next to my old house.
So not a million miles away from I know you've moved on a little bit now, but so yeah, we were away, so I couldn't really do any hobby then, but I took Jacob's 6th edition Orc and Goblin army and turned that into an old world army list. He's got less to paint now, which is good. What else have I done? I've shared this with Dan, but I don't think I shared this on that. I bought some old hammer the other day. We just say a job lot of someone, and I'll pop an image on the screen, which Martin can't see now because I do all this post edit. But there's I spent a 3-figure sum, only just 3 figures on a load of old metal. There's some definite classics in there. Some stuff I'm going to keep. Some stuff cool. I'm going to move on and things. I'll send you a picture later, Martin, so you know what we're talking about. But that is cool. I will show some of that off in a video. I think I'll do something with that. So there's some proper old classic miniatures there. Some old original Chaos Dwarves and things like that. Some Jez Goodwin ogres and things. So some proper classics there. And then I was sent some things by some viewers, which was really nice. Sean has sent me some orcs because he wants me to do a orc tutorial for the old world. So he sent me 2 orcs, one for me, one for Jacob, and that's going to appear soon. And then another viewer and a Discord member, Billy, sent me this really awesome care package. Really awesome care package. He sent me a Marauder Giant. So I was talking about the Marauder Giant on one of the old world videos because it's coming back as a made to order when they release Orc and Goblins. And he sent me a message and said, I've got one, do you want it? And I was like, well, yeah, how much do you want for it? And he's like, no, I'm just going to send it to you, give me your address, kind of thing. And he sent it with some 5th edition Bretonians as well. But I've got this amazing Marauder Giant, which I did a quick short of. It's a really old one because it's it's pure lead. I think it came off all over my hands. It's almost black in color. It's a beautiful thing. Looking forward to painting, and it's going to be a unit filler in my men at arms for my Bretonians. So I'm going to run it 2 ways. So when I run them as a standard Grand Army, I'm just going to be using a normal unit filler. When they're the Bretonian Exiles army list, I don't know how closely you've been following this, Martin, but the new Bretonian army list book, you can do a Border Princes Exiles list. So when I run the unit as that, I'm going to run them as Yeoman Guards. So they're kind of a slightly better version, more veteran, and I'm going to whack him in as the unit filler for it. So it's kind of see the difference in the unit, and it's just a really cool way to use him as well. But I can't wait to paint him. I might have to do that.
You need the goose that they previewed for the open day.
I saw that. I've seen the memes for that as well. Yeah.
It looks like it's got a red baseball cap on.
I
From
know.
the angle I took it, it looks like Fred Durst. I was like,
oh no.
It's awesome though. It's such a cool
look
model.
good. It does look good. But
I want
thank
to know
you.
what it's attached to.
Yeah. I who knows? But it's done good mileage in terms of publicity already, isn't it? Because the amount of people that have shared that image. But yeah, what an amazing thing for someone to send me. So thank you, really genuinely thank you, Billy, for that. And he's also sent me something that I had strict instructions that I couldn't open until I recorded a hobby hour. So I've been really good, and I've left this sealed. And I've had the other package for about 2 weeks
Doesn't
now.
vibrate, does it?
No, it doesn't vibrate.
No.
Nothing's ticking. Doesn't smell dodgy. I'm just gonna find out what it is. So, dun, dun, dun.
Drum roll, please.
Oh wow!
Oh,
fantastic!
We have a green knight
in the box.
Oh wow!
in the box of that. So,
Has it got the
That is cool.
polystyrene in it? Has it got the original GW polystyrene?
yes, it has.
Oh,
wow.
that wonderful thing where you break it,
There
take
is
it out.
There is a model in there, right? Though it's not just a poster.
There's lots of foam he's put in there.
I'll be
Yes,
happy
there
with
is.
the box.
There is a model. Yeah. All
Oh, no way.
needs clearing up.
I love that.
Oh, that's
that model.
amazing.
I back when I
Thank you,
when I
Billy.
did
That is
Bretonians,
incredible.
I had that guy. It's such a cool model.
It's
Really.
timeless, that model. It's aged so well. It's so well.
Just we've even got the
Oh, and more.
little
Oh, no way, you got the pennants as well.
the little pennants. That is
That's
amazing.
bonkers.
That is amazing. Right, well, there's another video that's coming up at some point in the future. So yeah, well, wow, I feel very humble and very guilty that I've just been sent a Marauder Giant and a green knight through the post. So thank you so much. That is rather awesome. On that note, let's take a break and we'll come back.
Pledges for next month.
Well, not that, because I've still got to paint an army for a game at the end of March, but it will come soon. But yeah, on that note, we'll take a little break now, and we'll come back and we'll talk all about Martin. Miniature Realms is proudly sponsored by Baron of Dice, premium wargaming dice. Over 500 styles, over 4,000 customer reviews. Welcome to the best dice on the planet.
Okay.
All right, welcome back. And the second half of the show, and this is time to indulge more in our special guest, Martin. So where should we start with? Should we start with the YouTube channel? That probably came first out of all of the combination of things we're going to get into. But I suppose you could talk a little bit about how you got into the hobby first, and how that sort of led into the channel.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, I think I got into the hobby, I imagine how a lot of people did, which was GW and Warhammer 40,000 back in 1994. I remember the White Dwarf. It was you got a free battle bunker and there was a Space Wolf on the front of it. So I remember that. So funnily enough, went to GW Peterborough to go and get my first miniatures. That was where it started, and then it was Warhammer 40,000 and Warhammer Fantasy through to the point that I went to university. And then I was at university, I had other things on my mind, so I didn't really do that. And then I didn't really sort of do anything. And when I came back after university and was looking for a job, my little cousin was getting into it, so I gave him all my old White Dwarfs, and then I made the mistake of going into GW. So this would have been sort of 2003, and then I picked up Bretonians, which was probably the last time that they got updated before the most recent release of the old world.
It was, yeah.
And then I just started playing fantasy again. I didn't really pick up 40k. And then basically just what happened was I just wanted to paint something different. And I picked up some War Machine models. So this would have been about 2007, 2008. And to me, they were very different at the time. And then I sort of started, I got some of those, and I think Malifaux, I think that was around about the time the first edition of Malifaux release, and there was only 4 starters and they were all metal, and the game was a lot simpler. So I picked those up, and then I bought, it was called Open Fire. It was the first Flames of War, one of the first Flames of War starter sets, and it wasn't like the big starter sets you get now. It was simply 2 Stugs versus 3 Shermans and a mini rulebook, and it was an awesome little set, and I just picked it up because it was 20 quid. And it was in the shop, and that was it was a cracking little set. It was a lovely little.
It was the full mini rule book as well, wasn't it? I remember reading it on holiday.
It was.
To pick it up.
It was a brilliant set, because again, it was, you know, if you didn't like it, you've only wasted 20 quid, but you've got some little tanks. I showed it to a mate. He loved it. He picked it up. He gave me the Stugs. He took the Shermans. And that was really how sort of I got into historical. So I played a lot of Flames of War. So basically, I picked up Flames of War. That led to Bolt Action, and then that led into sort of other historical games. What happened was really in 2015, it was the 200th anniversary of Waterloo, and there was a competition on I can't even remember which gaming group it was now, but it was basically you could win the big collector's set for Black Powder, which was La Haye-Saint. And it's I mean, La Haye-Saint start is great anyway, but the collector's set is massive. And I answered it and I won. And I got this massive delivery turn up of all these Napoleonic miniatures. And Napoleonics, I kind of feel, is something that it looks cool on the tabletop, but you kind of look at it and go, I can't do that. That's a lot of models. That's, space and, oh God, that's a lot of buttons and a lot of epaulets and all of this kind of stuff. But I thought, well, I've won it now. So I'm gonna paint it. So I just started painting them up, and I found that they painted up really quickly, and I enjoyed it. At the same time, I discovered the first edition of Saga came out. So I quite like my Vikings and my Dark Ages and all that kind of stuff, both from a sort of personal perspective and professional as well. I played that because that started to because that's not quite a historical game. It's semi-fantasy because it's really about you're meant to be playing the sagas, Beowulf and things like that, and so your characters are larger than life. Your warlord can go charging into combat and carve apart entire units rather than just charging and getting shot with an arrow.
It's a very low fantasy game set of rules in a historical setting.
It does make me laugh when people talk about historical accuracy in Saga. When you are basically triggering special abilities, where your guys will charge into units and kill themselves to kill other people.
It's back to the movie stuff again, isn't it?
Exactly, and that's what. And again, it just makes it a bit more palatable, and they're very good intro games if you then want to go and do something a little bit more serious in historicals. So I just started playing Black Powder, and really that was sort of so Bolt Action and Black Powder, and with sort of what I was playing. And then in 2019, so whenever Contrast Paints came out, that's when the channel started. And the simple reason was when they came out, everyone obviously was painting up GW miniatures. Fair enough, they're a GW product. But my primary focus was historicals, and I was looking around trying to see how they looked on horses because I despise painting horses. I hate it. I just don't enjoy it. But for some reason, I really like mounted armies. So I feel like it's a no-win. So I thought I spent ages looking around trying to find videos where they would sort of people were showing how they'd work on historicals, and no one did. So I just got my phone and some contrast paints, and I just I filmed myself painting 3 mounted men at arms, I think it was for the Perrys from the Wars of the Roses range, which I just started. And that was the start of the channel. And then after that, I just started putting up videos. Really, it was really started with contrast paints and how I was using those on historical. So how do I paint Old Guard? How do I paint this? How, just from a historical point of view. And then of course the pandemic hit, and I was stuck inside, and my wife took pity on me because I couldn't have a game. So she agreed to play some games of Black Powder and let me do the bat reports, and then actually enjoyed it, which I think is mainly because she beat me most of the time. And
that's a trend.
It is. People wonder why she doesn't appear on the channel that much. Sort of in the sort of like the last year. I'm just sick of getting my ass kicked, basically. And that was it. And I found a format to do my battle reports that I think worked, and what I wanted to show people, and I think this is we've talked about this before, is this bridge between historicals as a quite a hard thing to get into, and then the movie side of it and the gaming side of it, and then I was trying to dispel this idea that you had to have massive amount of space. I just played on a 6x4 of my dining room table. Just said, look, you can alter the rules a little bit here and there, and you'll be fine. And this is it. And you can have big convincing games. You don't have to have these massive collections of models, even though I've got over 3,000 now, 28 mil Napoleonics, and that's probably considered fairly small by some people's collections. I don't want any more. I'd just like to add, I don't need any more. I don't want any more. I don't want to paint any more lace. And it was just good fun. But the main thing was the Wars of the Roses, which is, I know, is why when we started talking, that's a personal sort of passion of mine. Is the 15th century, the Wars of the Roses, and the Perrys make those awesome plastic sets, those 5 sets that are so versatile. And I knew if I started it, I wouldn't stop. And what happened was I went to Salute, and they were doing like a 2 for 3 or 3 for 5 deal or something. I bought a lot. Of them, and I just started to paint them. And that was where a lot of the content came from. It's just project updates. I've painted this Lord, and this is how I've gone about it, and this is what I'm doing. And then once I had enough, it was Wars of the Roses battle reports, and the channel's just gone from there. Just as I sort of go through each project, the channel's given me the opportunity to work on other things and do the podcast, the Plastic Crap podcast with the guys. It also gave me the chances, because it does earn a little bit of revenue, and I just put that aside, and that went into Ragged Staff that you want to talk about, and also then the sort of doing tinkering and rules writing and coming on podcasts, and that's really just how I got from A to B. There you go.
I think it was your Napoleonic videos actually that I just discovered your channel through, and I think I'm really funny with battle reports. I find it so easy. I'll put a battle report on, and if it's too long, I want to watch it, but I just drift off and end up scrolling on my phone or something or other, or I just they're badly lit or something or other, and I don't know what it is. But your battle reports is very accessible. They're almost like as accessible as maybe a 40k battle report might be, because it's just like you said, it's a normal sized table, and you're talking through your turn at a reasonable pace, and I think a layman could watch it and understand the game, and I think you did that very well. And with you and having Haley on there as well, and they were just really, really watchable. I really enjoyed them, and it was a time I was thinking
there was
about
wine and alcohol involved quite a lot.
Well, that helps as well. But they're good entertainment, but you feel like you've got a good grip of what's going on with the game, which doesn't always happen with battle reports.
I just kind of the way I wanted to approach it, and I don't know if you feel this way with you guys when you're making content to show what I would like to see, rather than if people are aware, when they watched it, one of the tedious parts of the Black Powder Hail Caesar systems is the orders phase, because it's the longest part. It's the movement phase. So I just cut it out. Well, I don't cut it. I just speed through it, because I don't really see you could just do a quick roundup, because what people want to see is dice rolling. They want to see action. They want to see you crying because your men have just been cut to pieces and you're retreating, and things like that. So I just kind of rolled through that, and it just seems to have been a format that's worked, and it was stuck with it.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's really good. So let's talk a bit more about the PCP, so the Plastic Crack podcast, which is something I probably discovered via your channel, but around the same time. And I suppose you had Ken on your channel as well, playing some battle reports. So there's like this triangulation of different YouTube channels I was discovering at the time. So assuming there's people watching this that don't know what it is, so let's talk to some people about explain what the Plastic Crack podcast is.
So the Plastic Crack podcast goes out every Monday on YouTube for 2 hours at 8 o'clock. It doesn't have its own YouTube channel because the host changes, and it's a nice way of basically share, just moving around. And to begin with, it was a way of sharing it with as many subscribers as possible, and in a roundabout way. But it was a nice little format that stuck. So the current pitch for it, if you like, would be that there's 4 of us, although one of us is about to have a baby, so he's not around much at the minute. So there's 3 of us, and it's 2 hours. We pick a subject, we go out live, and we do a hobby catch up. We go through news. We have the Facebook group, so we have viewer submitted photos and things we always like to share. We get guests on from the industry, and that can be everything from warlords, Perry Miniatures, Oath Sworn to make Burrows and Badgers. We've had historians. We had the history chap on. It does the history chap videos online. We had him on just to chat, and basically we'll have anyone. And we're doing a thing at the minute where we have community guests on as well, so they don't even have to have a channel or whatever. We'll just, if they got a webcam, we'll throw them on and they can share in hosting duties basically. And yeah, it's been, there's a vetting process, although you wouldn't think it, because we how we got on, to be fair. But it all started in lockdown, and it started with Dom and Ken, who are sort of the original two people who set it up, and they invited the other co-host Steve on to do just to be a guest for an hour, and they invited me on, and then we didn't leave, basically. And it's very light-hearted. It's very informal. We do, there are giveaways, there are fun, and it's just built up a nice sort of a community. The Facebook group is growing very, very quickly, yeah, we get about I think it's about 160 to 180 viewers a week live, and then it's every week. We don't do bank holidays. We've decided bank holidays are a day off, basically. So yeah, it's good fun, and it's just we just have people joining in just as they're painting, and there's always quite a lively chat going on. So
yeah, it always is, and it's always good fun, wide range of topics, and like you say, guests. You get some really, really, really good guests from around the industry, and it's, I would say it was probably 70% historical, but you all have your own interests in periods and games and things.
Yeah,
and that's brought in really, really nicely, so you got a real nice balance across the shows.
We very much, when we got into it was historicals, because that happened to be what we were all working on at the time. I think I was brought on because of the Napoleonic battle report. Steve was really into his World War II. Ken, I can't even remember why, he was something to do with Napoleon, and Dom just games everything. But what happened is, with the ebb and flows of the hobby that we have in general, for example, the old world right now, there are loads of old world projects out there. So it's just what we're painting. People discover Burrows and Badgers, and who doesn't want to paint up a bulldog wielding a club, something like that. So we tend to, but what happens is you'll find one person will introduce something either in the pictures in the Facebook group that we then share, and then other people go out and buy it. Then within about 3 weeks, all of the pictures are getting shared are suddenly of anthropomorphical animals, and or space marines or epic or whatever. You do tend to find, obviously, whatever the big release is gaming wise will come out. So when Legions Imperialis come out, we had a whole load of the epic stuff. When any of the epic warlord releases, there will be a big flood of those as well, and that's fine. And we would just rather just bring it. We encourage everyone to post everything, and we'll share it. So I think last week on the stream we had like a plague bearer, followed by a Napoleonic marshal, followed by a badger, followed by someone else, and it's just to share, and I think it encourages people to maybe try something outside of their comfort zone.
Yeah, and the Facebook group, so I'll try to remember to pop a link in the video description along with your channel. It's one of the friendliest, most open Facebook groups for wargaming, because we all know that internet and wargaming can be problematic, or the internet and people in general can be problematic at times, but it's that you do a very good job. The tone of the show is carried over into the group, and that's it's very, very, very good, very inclusive. Absolutely.
I'll say I've made no bones about the fact that I've always been very much a GW gamer. I find historical gaming quite impenetrable. I've said it before on this. I've said it before on the audio podcast we do. And obviously, my original sort of introduction to you guys in particular was Stu's gone, oh, yeah, we're going to go do an exhibition game at this event. I was like, okay, cool. Great day. And it's a great, I'm obviously a member of the group, and I can't say I post particularly much because I don't really post on anything particularly much. I can hardly post about, what I'm watching on television, can I? It's a little bit too far even for Plastic Frag podcast. But, especially if someone on the television show has got the wrong button on it. Don't want to do that.
No, you definitely don't want that.
No. But it's a very, very friendly, inclusive group. You don't see the usual stitch counting and sniping and, oh, don't be posting that GW stuff in here, or don't post Warlord, which for me is always don't bite the hand that feeds with that one.
Yeah.
If you want more people to engage, if you want more people to play, if you don't want your system to die, encourage more people into it. And Warlord is a really, really good way of doing that.
Exactly. I mean, we're, as I say, the way the group works, it kind of self-polices. I can only, for any other groups, been going for 3 or 4 years now, and I think there's only less than less than I can count on one hand occasions where we've actually had to sort of either stop comments or say or have a word, but it's usually been a simple sort of okay, come on, calm down. There's never been sort of that kind of an issue. Generally, people will go on there, they ask painting questions. People who want criticism, they will ask for constructive criticism. People who want advice, people who are getting into historicals, that they'll join, and they'll simply just say help. And then all of a sudden there'll be a flood of book recommendations, and then most of the people who are in there will just say, look, just do whatever you want, they're your toys. They're your little war dollies. Do whatever you want with them, and if you're happy with them, then great. But then if someone does come in and say, "Look, I really am looking for whatever Napoleon's Third Regiment War at Waterloo," or then someone will be there to help. And there are some Facebook groups which they are very, very knowledgeable on the subjects, and they are a great source of information. They can sometimes be a little bit brutal with the way that it's passed on. That's not just for historicals. I've popped up into a forum of my world eaters, and
you went on the heresy forums. Good luck. I would consider myself reasonably knowledgeable about the subject. I've read all the books to death and painted God knows how many Space Marines. I don't go there. There be dragons. Absolutely not.
I'm not really a member of
no,
any of those anymore, for a good reason.
No. Feel free to ask us any questions you want, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Is this grimy enough and bloody enough? Is probably what the world eats.
The answer is no. It is always no.
Needs a question.
Well, I think we touched on a little bit there about you talked about mention CrapCon, Dan, when we talked about running the event. So that's probably a good opportunity for you to talk a little about that as well, because all these things lead into the next. So as part of the Plastic Crack podcast, there's CrapCon as well. Yeah,
so that was an accident, basically. So when we were on in lockdown, because none of us, we all, Steve's up north, Dom and Ken are down south, I'm in the east, and we all just decided, we sort of said, once lockdown's over, we must all meet up and have a game, because we've been talking now every week for the best part of a year. And we, at the time, I think we had 15, 20 viewers, and which was lovely, and they were spending time with us. And slowly people were like, could we come? We'll go to the pub, and we'll get a village hall, and so on and so forth. And then we actually kind of sat there and thought, should we do it? Should we do it? And so we decided what one day after the stream, we all hung around for a little bit. It might have been after one of the ones where we were drinking, actually. And we said, yeah, let's do it, and we'll have a look at it. And I went upstairs and told my wife that we were doing it, who sort of laughed at us and said, "Oh God, what are you going to call it, CrapCon?" And it was essentially, yes, we are. Why not? Now we need to find it.
By the way, that is really difficult to explain to people. What were you going to do? I'm going to Derby to CrapCon. Yeah. What? Oh, the PCP. That's really good. That does well.
With your little paper bag, which was originally going to say bag of crack, but it didn't. That was where we drew the line. So we found the one venue in the UK where we could get away with the name. So we basically go to Boards and Swords in Derby, and also it's a great location because it's central. To basically everyone. And the first one, I think there was 40 of us. And we did that, and it's just a gaming day. It's not a competition, it's not a tournament. What we do is we provide the space for people to come and put on the games that they want to play and to show people, and to get participation in. So for the first one, I just ran a big open participation Napoleonic game. I brought all my miniatures down, and we had a huge game. of Napoleonics, not recreating a battle, but just showing people that it can be a light-hearted and fun, and it's not it doesn't have to be fuddy-duddy or anything like that, and it's just a good laugh. You guys you put on Middle Earth, and Haley beat the snot out of me.
While destroying all my trees. Yeah.
Yes, I do remember that. But I remember Boromir and was it Aragorn getting taken out very, very quickly.
Yeah.
In that game. And it's also a good chance for people just to come and try games they wouldn't necessarily any other time. So the second time round I did do a refight, and that was a Battle of Barnet. That was Stu, you couldn't come, could you? Unfortunately, because I think you had COVID, and so you couldn't make it, but you were going to be one of the commanders of the day. And we had 4,000 medieval miniatures, flags, pennants, all that. It looked awesome, and we did things like hidden setup. I sort of made them hold up a big sheet in between because it was foggy, and it's just a good fun day. And people can either come and they can host a game and basically just play people through it, or people can organize to actually play opponents. Dan, you did that last year, didn't you, with Flames of War?
Boys. Yeah, it was really good.
And and we've also now we've invited other games companies. They come in demo games. So last time we had Futsal, who were demoing Gangs of Rome, the second edition of Gangs of Rome, which is great fun because lovely little board, and it's cracking miniatures. We had Soldiers of Napoleon getting demoed. We had Burrows and Badgers getting demoed as well, and it's just gone from strength to strength. From the last one we ran, which was the fourth one, we had 70 people. There's a charity raffle, which a lot of companies donate to, and Wargamers, because let's face it, we've all got piles of plastic that we don't use. So what we do is we pick a charity each year that's related in some way to wargaming or to something that's going on in the hobby, or to someone in the hobby, and we pick a charity, and we do a raffle, and all of those proceeds go to that charity. And to date, I think we've done, across the events, I think we've raised about 3,500 now, 3,500, 4,000, something like that, just off the back of people buying raffle tickets. Then started, well, a couple of years ago now, we all go for a curry afterwards. And because there's a travel lodge right near the place, there's usually a night out involved as well. So it's just a place to go and have fun with like-minded people, and also maybe try out some games that you haven't considered before, which is always good fun.
Yeah, they are fantastic event. I can't think I've booked 4 times and only made it twice, I think. So I've missed missed last year and the middle year before that. But yeah, these things happen. But the 2 I've been to have been absolutely fantastic. I've loved staying in that travel lodge in at the cricket ground.
The poor travel lodge. The poor travel lodge. Well, we've got this year's is so we haven't released the tickets yet. They're going to be released around about Easter, and that's going to be on the 19th. It's going to be on the 19th of October. This year's one is called Vare and Crack Again. So I'll let assume whatever they like about that one, but I am desperately trying to find a picture of a hobbit that I can use for the t-shirts this year. So
Brilliant stuff. No, it's a great event, and if anyone hasn't watched your podcast before, haven't looked up the event, they definitely should do, because I definitely recommend it. It's great fun. I suppose that brings us on now to the fourth thing in the little quartet of projects that you're involved in, your own miniatures company. So what can you tell us about that?
So this was a case of not really knowing what to do with the sort of pittance that YouTube actually get from Google AdSense.
Yes.
I would very much opinion. So on my channel, I'm very open about the fact that I do have ads on the channel, and that's simply because, and I did monetize it, and that's simply because I got an email saying that they would monetize it anyway. So I just sort of thought, well, ultimately, if it's going to go to someone, I would rather it went to the creator. And that they do whatever the hell that they want with it, even if that is simply as buying coffee, so that they can keep going. And the way that YouTube and AdSense works, it only pays out once you hit I think it's £60, isn't it? And that could be you might have a really, really good month, and you get £60, or it might take 3 or 4 months, and it builds up and it pays out. And I basically just put the money on one side, and as my passion is the Wars of the Roses in the 15th century. I love it. I love everything to do with it. I try very hard not to, but I can go on for hours and hours and hours about it. And as fantastic as the Perry range of miniatures is, I just kind of thought, well, it'd just be really fun to maybe see if we can get some models sculpted. And I've been looking into 3D printing. I was a big fan of the models by Reconquer Designs. Marcos, his sculpting is fantastic, and at the time he was doing his Reconquista Patreon, and he's got a fantasy one going now. I don't know if you've seen it, but the fantasy stuff is amazing.
Very nice.
He's putting definitely not Bretonians in it, and he's got one coming out this month, which is not a Bretonian on a hippogriff sort of diving.
Oh, wow.
With the wings kind of folded back and the lance like couched. It just looks awesome. I think he's got some high elves and things in there as well, just as alternatives. I got in touch with him, and I just sort of like floated the idea about it, and he basically came back and gave me all the reasons why, but I probably shouldn't. And I persisted, and I went away, and I've got a lot of books. I've got a lot of research that I do on this. I have whole volumes on armor and everything sort of back here. Those are all rule books. Up there is all Wars of the Roses. I basically just came up with some sculpts because I like create on my bases. I like having little vignettes and dioramas. I prefer that in my units. In games where you have figure removal, it's a little bit harder to do. But you were talking about unit fillers earlier when we before we went live, and you could do cool things like that. And I wanted models that would potentially essentially have something like a bit of fun going on, or a bit more dynamic, because all of the models that are available for the Wars of the Roses are either metal and single piece cast, and it's quite hard to have something quite dynamic cast in metal. Not impossible, but it can be quite hard, or multi-part plastics. And if you're going to make something multi-part, you have to sacrifice a certain level of sort of dynamism for it, because it just doesn't work. With the advent of 3D printing, you can really get some really nice sculpts and nice stances. So I basically sat there at work one day writing a big long list of everything that I would want to do, and I went back to him with sketches, and I think he realized that I was serious. And we did the first one, which was I called him the Loyal Standard Bearer, and he's basically just leading the way with a sort of hand outstretched. I think there might be a video on your channel, actually,
of me painting
painting them actually, and that came off, that worked. I was really pleased with it, and I basically just thought, well, what I'll do, I'll get another one done, which is a lord who's kind of going for it with a poleaxe in a way that you probably never would use a poleaxe, but the excuse I use is Richard III was apparently killed by getting the back of his head chopped off, and that didn't happen by someone doing a pokey thing. Someone definitely swung something. So that's my excuse. That's my historical reference for that. And then I thought, well, I'm just going to keep going. And then the idea was, maybe I'll make the files available. Maybe I'll see if I can, I don't know, get them cast. And I spoke to a few people. I spoke to Ian from Flags of War, who has his own range, and got some advice. And I basically just decided to, because I was interested in 3D printing, to look at that. And I've had 3D printed models before, we've done in high quality resins, and to me I'm not going to make the statement that they're as good as hard plastic miniatures, because they're a different medium, but single piece cast, they were brilliant, and I could produce them, and they kept the detail. So I came up with the name, which is named after the Earl of Warwick's badge, who's probably my favorite character from the Wars of the Roses. It sold out in 2 hours, which threw me a little bit, and then involved me staying up till 2 a.m. to get rid of all to get them all ready to post. It's been that way ever since. So there's only 5 at the moment. There's one that's red, that's that's ready to go. I'm just painting one of these sort of larger scale versions of it right now. And there's another one which should hopefully be being sculpted in the next month. And then those two will come out, and all I do is all the money I make from that just goes back into the pot, so I can just sculpt more. All I just want is cool models. I've had people who've used them for Minas Tirith units. No, what are they called? Not is it the fiefdom?
Yes,
yeah. Knights in shining armor. And with the next release will come the first. I'm doing 54mm models because I had a lot of, because of the detail that's gone into the armor. I went, if you were in Derbyshire last year in August, you might have, in any particular churches, good chance you'd see me skulking around alabaster tombs, taking lots and lots of photos because they're a really, really good source of armor inspiration. Everything on there from the buckles and all of that. And I just, the guy Marcos, he did such a good job of his sculpting that I thought it was worthy of a 54mm print. I don't know how well those are going to do. I'm going to do an initial run. If they sell, then I might do more, but I think they'll probably just be in sort of odd, they won't always be in stock. There will be batches of those that I do, and when they start, the problem is keeping up with the stock, because every time I restock the website, and I'm not complaining, it goes out of stock quite quick, but because it's just me doing it, and keeping up with it can be quite hard. But it's all done from here and the Bury St Edmunds post office, where I'm a regular visitor now. So yeah, it was just all just fun, and I just thought it was a bit of fun to put the YouTube revenue towards, and I didn't know if it would go anywhere, and all the YouTube revenue just keeps on going into that, and just more models the better. I have no idea what the future holds for them, but I'm just going to keep making them, and I'll keep sending them your way as well.
Well, they are wonderful miniatures. I really, like you said, that they really character.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll pop one of those over. There's a skirmish game coming out for the Wars of the Roses with War Games Illustrated in the next few months called Ruckus. We've actually he's the guest on next week's Plastic Crap podcast.
Okay.
On my channel, and it's designed for 10 models aside. That's it. Guys in armor. The whole idea is you're going onto someone else's land, you're going to burn their barn down and nick their sheep kind of thing, or you're going to he's some new armor and it's been transported and you're going to nick it. It's that kind of a thing, and there's no points in the game. You just pick 10 figures and go with it. So he's going to stream, so I may or may not be trying to get it, so there'll be 10 figures that can just sort of be, I'm not affiliated or anything to do with them, but if there's 10 figures that are available in just one little collection, it's sometimes
I think I have 5 painted already, so I already have half my force for that game. So
there you go. Well, yes, absolutely. So that's really where ragged stuff came from. Is just I just have a passion for the Wars of the Roses, and it's an outlet for it. And I think my wife is just glad, because it means I'm not talking to her about it. So
no, it's good. It's good. They're fantastic miniatures. Again, I'll pop links in the video description. I'll pop a little link in as well to the video I did on painting them and sort of showcasing them, so people can have a really good look at it. And there'll be lots of pictures going up during this anyway. You're going to send me loads over so I can pop them up.
I have a lot of photos.
And you should definitely be checking out Martin's channel. I'd say you're the kind of deep delve project king, whether that's War of the Roses, whether it's the Crusade stuff you've done, and you've got your Gallic Wars stuff. You've got a good series of videos to kind of get your teeth into, and I guess you really like getting into a subject, and
I like getting into it, but I always in the back of my head have the idea that it's something that I want to game. The last one, the one that I've just completed, is the First Crusade, which seemed like a really odd choice, and I can't even really remember how it came about. I think I read about a unit of Crusaders that were cannibals, and to me that just sounded kind of troublesome, but also kind of like, how does this work? And then I found out they were led by a knight who called himself King Tafer and wielded a scythe. And I was like, this sounds that's a modeling opportunity. If ever I heard of, I just like finding the way I view historical wargaming. We talked about this before, is very much like a film or an episode of Sharp. I viewed a historical period as a background to the characters that I want to depict. Obviously, the Crusades is not a particularly it's a troublesome time. That's putting it lightly. It's a very, very tricky subject matter, but it's a very, very different one. And I basically use the Crusades as a backdrop for playing these games. The armies that are in play, you have obviously the Crusade army, which is made up of so many different factions. Not just I think the idea that a lot of people have at the Crusaders, where it's either just Norman knights and guys with crosses on their shields, but there are there's the Italian Normans, Sicilian Normans. You have all of these like the Varangian Guard, and you have all these awesome cataphract cavalry. They pick up some Greeks, other Greeks as well on the way through. Then I found out that that I didn't know this before doing this, that a whole bunch of Saxons who chose exile after the Norman conquest, they went to the Byzantine Empire, and they have essentially a colony of exiled Saxons who hate the Normans, who have turned up on this crusade, and they nearly have a fight in Jerusalem, in Constantinople. They have to be broken up and kept apart. So that's a great idea to have in a game. You've got Saxons and Normans in this army. They made up most of the Varangian Guard. They were made up of English Saxons at this point. But that's a really just a fun mechanic. So maybe they can't take orders from them. Then you contrast that with the Seljuk Turks and the Fatimid Empire, who have got obviously fast-moving cavalry. They're always at war with each other, but you've got Berber mercenaries and camels. And stuff like this, and then I think the idea was just like I can paint a lot of different stuff, and that's why I did it. And also I hadn't done anything. I'd never in my wargaming done anything desert themed before, or anything like that. Obviously you're doing Tomb Kings and stuff, and and I've got a new appreciation for it, and I love it. So I've got a desert theme on my World Eaters and my Dark Angels.
It's good fun, isn't it? I love a good desert thing.
Yeah. It just contrasts so well, and I just like making nice looking units. And if I can find a loose historical reason to have something there, then it's going in. I'm not worried sort of too much. Say, I'm not going to sort of go, prove to me they weren't there, but there's usually, we know there was lots of mercenaries and things. So that's where the First Crusade project came from. The Wars of the Roses is a thing that will just never end. That's there. I've got more War of the Roses mentions than I do Napoleonics, and it will just keep going. That one.
So you've painted every livery of surcoat that you could.
I painted the most complicated, which was the Earl of Warwick, which I nearly went blind painting, because he was so rich and he owned so many estates. He has 16 different quarterings across his across his surcoat, so front, back, and then you're meant to have the whole thing on the sleeve. And I thought I'd challenge myself and do it, so I did this whole command base for him on a big 110mm oval base with he's got courtiers and banner bearers. There's 4 or 5 banners on that base. Yeah, I've even got little dogs on that base. He's put his hunting dogs along. There's a bishop on there. But there's always these characters, and I like finding these little stories that take place. And the one we were talking about, the Battle of Nilby Green, which took place from sort of down the road from you, and it's that's a fantastic. It's basically just a squabble. Which is essentially all the Wars of the Roses is. It's just a big family squabble. It's not even really a war. It's just kind of like occasional bloodshedding and get rid of the ability. But the reason I like it is because all of them, I must be careful not to swear, they're all so horrible. No one in it is nice. I don't care what they say. I know there'll be, there's the whole sort of, let's reframe the whole stuff around Richard, and fine, but he was still a medieval nobleman, and they weren't very nice people. And basically you could, because of all the backstabbing and that, you can collect anything and anyone, and there's absolutely no reason you can't play it against someone else, because they probably would have fought each other, and not everything was recorded, so you can have some good fun with it.
Absolutely, yeah, it's definitely a wonderful period of history that I didn't really delve into before you did, really, and I'm glad I did. I'm glad you got me reading it, and the novels and things that I read around it as well. But it's been fantastic. Right then, well, I'm very conscious of how long we have kept you, especially with all the breaks, the extra breaks tonight. But thank you very much for your time, Martin. It's been really nice
You're welcome.
to hear about all the different facets of your hobby, which I think is really, really interesting. And even for people that don't know you, hopefully they're going to click on the link below for your channel now and go and watch your
Please do,
your videos. Subscribe. You've just gone over 9,000 subscribers, haven't you? So congratulations, really good.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it's I am still slightly amazed that people want to hear me waffle on, as it were. But yeah, there's stuff on there. There's painting videos. I'm doing quite a lot of work with AK at the moment on there. They send me some paints and their deep shades and stuff like that. So there's more of that coming. And let's say Gallic Wars at the moment. That's stuff coming out. Test of Honor, if you like your samurai, that's coming. Winter bases for samurai. I don't know why. I done desert for this and then winter. I haven't done a good green sandy, green sand, just a nice turfy base for quite a long time. So it's either one or the other. But yeah, there's quite a lot over there. So yeah, please do come and have a look.
Loads and loads of awesome content. So thank you very much. Is there anything else you want to shout out before we let you go and before we end the show? Something else?
Well, really, just if you want, feel free, come along, watch the podcast, come and join in the chat, the Plastic Crack podcast. If you search for it, you'll find it on YouTube, and it's set up a week ahead of time. So either search for it on Facebook or come and have a look and just join in the chat. There's the more the merrier, and it's always good just having people from all over, basically.
Absolutely. Dan, have you got anything you want to add before we end today's long video? Well, long for us, probably not long for.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, etc. Keep it up, and we'll catch you next time.
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks very much for watching, guys. Click all the links in the video description. I think there will be quite a few today. Go and head over to the channel's Discord as well. There's a couple of channels in there for chatting about the show, asking questions and that kind of thing. And there's the one for the hobby pledge, the monthly hobby pledge I spoke about a little bit early on. So check that out. But anyway, thanks very much for watching. Take care, and we'll catch you soon.